and you didn't choose for it to be there, it just kind of happened, it's not your fault. It's actually society's fault, because we were raised in this culture that values possessions. We were raised by a generation that valued possession. All of this consumption has just kind of fallen on us, whether we inherited it or we're taught to own and to build and to buy as soon as we need something. That's something that our culture, especially millennials, have grown up with. We grew up with parents who just owned a lot of things. If you feel like you were just plopped down in the middle of a house with possessions and clutter that you didn't even ever intentionally choose or ask for, you're not alone. Like, our entire society has been given all of this stuff and said, here, use it. The truth is that owning these possessions and having all of this clutter just takes away from the value that we can offer the world. Everybody sees it whenever they pass through an estate sale. People leave this world and leave behind houses full of items. I know a lot of people that don't want the leftover possessions to be the story that's left over once they leave. They want their life, their experiences, their stories to be passed on. They don't want to have to choose between cleaning up the house or storing clutter and going on a hike or having a picnic. They want to live out their experiences, not own them. In the Depression era, people did live frugally. They had an authentic connection to their items because they made them, or their parents made them, or their friend who owned a small shop down the street made their items. And they didn't have a choice but to take care of them. If they didn't take care of their items, they didn't have them. If they threw away food, they didn't have a meal. If they didn't take care of the clothes in their closet, they weren't gonna have new ones right off the bat. We are lucky that we don't have to grow up with those same struggles. We don't have to make our own clothes. If one of our shirts rip, we can go down to a Target and pick up a new shirt. It's really easy for us. And our parents thrived on that convenience. Our parents didn't grow up in the Depression era. Once they got to the point where they didn't have to go without anymore, man, they really stopped going without. They just consumed and consumed and owned. Especially coming from parents who probably had to live frugally, or at least saw someone in their life live through that. I'm sure being able to own a lot of things and never worry about if something wasn't in the house whenever they needed it, I'm sure that was a really good feeling. If you grow up not having much, whenever you're an adult, you're gonna want to be surrounded by all the things so you don't have to worry about not having things. I can totally see how the generation before us went from the frugal living that their parents or grandparents had to wanting to own so many items. Back then, frugal, conscious living was done out of necessity. Now we do have a choice. If we want to live mindfully, we get to choose to do so. We get to fill our spaces with items that are meaningful to us. We get to declutter our areas. We get to have quality pieces. And our culture now is actually a really great time to try doing that. There are so many new small businesses, especially with the pandemic. People are at home, people are creating. You might have to do a little bit of research, but if you want to find a quality version of something that you would normally just, run to the store for, it's easy to do so. The little research and time, you can purchase from someone that you have a connection to, who you share values with. Number one, you want to scale back your possessions and have a life that's filled with quality pieces. Start today. Even if you made a choice yesterday that buys into consumption culture, if it's not where your heart truly is, you can make a completely different decision today. And number two, remember that we've lived our whole lives in this consumption culture, and it's okay if you don't make big changes all at once. We accumulated this stuff through years, and half of it probably isn't even ours to begin with. What's one choice you can make today, however little it may be, to choose mindful living? If you need a starting point, our home design kit helps you think through your space from the ground up and introduce function through your home design choices. My third tip is to connect with other people who value authentic, mindful living. There are tons of people in the online space that are super inspirational and can help you frame your mind in the right way.